This is the podcast for Reality Sarina. So welcome,
Mhm.
welcome.
Hi, Chengo. Thank you for having me here. I co-founded a public blockchain called ELF back in 2017. But
AELF.
along the AELF, yeah. And along the way, I've been doing Bitcoin mining with my partner Alex from Rock Miner. So that's how we get to know you, and we've been like doing hosting services for friends. So currently, I'm working on a staking as a service platform called RockX instead of powering POW blockchains. So right now, what I'm doing is to running validators for different POS blockchains. Making sure they're secure, and also to help them to build tools for developers.
We're going to talk about mining today. Can you tell us more about the current state of mining in China right now?
Um, for the past 2 months, it's been extremely tough for the Chinese miners. For an industry that has been running for over 10 years, all of a sudden, it's completely cut off. So since the beginning of this year, certain parts of China has already shut down mining farms, particularly in Inner Mongolia, starting at the beginning of the year. Then, people were saying, maybe this is just Inner Mongolia because China is still made policies province by province. But then, when we move to April, that's where, a lot of rumors coming around. Okay, Xinjiang was trying to shut down farms, and Sichuan is also looking at it. So the reality right now is that probably all the farms are shut down in China. Maybe those like really tiny ones, are still like running like secretly.
Mm-hmm.
But those are like nothing compared to the scale that China used to run Bitcoin mining. Yeah, and we're not seeing things improving yet. The government, the narrative from the government initially was about using too much electricity and also creating too much carbon emissions in China. China is trying to be carbon neutral in 10 years. But right now, the narrative has moved to, trading and producing Bitcoin is I wouldn't call it illegal, but this is something that the government wants to crack down and do not want to happen in China. That narrative also happened in 2017 when they were talking about crypto trading again, and all the investigations against exchanges. Yeah, but this time it's just harsher, much more stricter. So it's much harsher, and we're not seeing things to be improved soon because the 100th anniversary of the CCCP has just taken place in this month. So probably the priority of the country right now is about stability and not changing any policies yet. So this also leads to a new reality for the miners. So what should they do? So there are polarized views of this situation right now. Most of the miners are still kind of thinking, okay, this could be temporary. So let's just wait, just leave our mining machines in the farms or in a storage. And just maybe after 2 or 3 months, everything will get back to normal. Yeah. But another group of miners are very aggressively going overseas. Yeah. So they see this as the end of mining in China. And so they're looking into like all the countries in the world, like Kazakhstan, United States, Canada. People even tried Iran before. A lot of people also go to Southeast Asia. People are getting creative, and the funny thing is that also all of a sudden we are receiving a lot of offers from the states, like say, hey, we have a lot of electricity here. You guys should invest here.
Who's
But
offering?
like actually a mix, right? So there are miners who's been operating BTC mining in US. So these guys are definitely getting more electricity. Like I spoke with the campus guys. I think recently they just secured a nuclear plant power supply. So
Where?
that is really cool. Yeah, Florida or somewhere.
In
I could
Florida.
be wrong, but yeah, we can. Yeah, so they did that with a company called Oklo. 150 megawatts of energy. Yeah, but of course, it's gonna take like 2 years to be constructed.
Compass Mining has signed a 20-year deal with nuclear fission startup Oklo, under which Oklo will supply the Bitcoin mining and hosting company with 150 megawatts of energy. The first Oklo reactors will be deployed in 2023 or 2024, and the costs will be considerably less than the energy sources Compass plugs into now, Compass CEO Whit Gibbs said. Oklo plans to build mini nuclear reactors that produce between 1 and 10 megawatts of electrical energy compared with the hundreds of megawatts produced at conventional reactors. Okay, so I guess this is pretty bullish for Bitcoin in 2023. But for now,
Mm-hmm.
what does that spell for the mining industry? Most Bitcoiners who are a buy and hodl aren't that worried about it right now. So, what's the
Yeah.
sentiment with the miners right now? Are you guys confident you're going to be able to set up shop by a new energy source outside of China, or are you kind of struggling to find new farms and data centers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Chinese miners has been exploring for overseas energy sources for a couple of years, in fact. So we had friends, who used to invest in thermal energy in the Philippines, and also people are looking at very creative ways, like tidal power, etc. So this is not the first time the Chinese miners are looking to go overseas, because they do see a few benefits of it. Yeah, but I think the difference this time is that they are probably so some of the miners have to sell Bitcoin in order to get enough cash to build farms overseas, because now they're looking at much larger scales. This is not an experiment anymore, so they have to sell Bitcoin. And on the other hand, also for miners who have take loans collateralized by Bitcoin to beef up their machine scales this year, so now they're hitting. So they're in big troubles. So probably some of their Bitcoins may be liquidated in such a market, and they have no income in Bitcoin, to top it up. Yeah, so that's definitely a big sell pressure for Bitcoin. But in the long run, I think the consensus here is that this is actually good for the overall Bitcoin ecosystem. Because this has been accepted by the financial industry globally. And also, by going overseas, this also may mean that there will be more financing options for mining. Because in China, although the industry is huge, but there's no official, in the short term, definitely we'll see a lot of sell pressure here. And I don't think we have hit the peak of panic yet. A lot of people are still holding hope, things may improve in China. So maybe the reality will hit a bit later this year. But in the long run, I think.
What do you think it's going to look like if and when the reality hits that the mining situation is just not going to improve in China?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a extreme situation, right, where they couldn't find good farms to move their machines overseas, and their cash flow kind of get into a trouble. I think there's going to be a lot of first of all, machines will be in panic sale. Yeah, especially in China, and probably those won't be able to move out of China in time. So this will be like a big sale just within the Chinese market. Bitcoin wise, I think probably
of the ASICs
of machines. Yeah.
Who would they sell it to?
So there will be people who are still betting on, right? So betting on, say, okay, maybe if I have enough cash flow, I can ship them out of China. So I probably just buy cheap and take like 1 or 2 months and just ship them off. I mean, so in China, the market, people sees the machines as a financial instrument. So it's something tradable. So it's not a fixed asset, right? So we basically call it as an option, to buy Bitcoin at a certain price. Basically, it's the electricity price plus your machine price. So it's definitely tradable. When people want to sell, there are people who are willing to buy.
I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but like honestly, I think in the long run, whoever has Bitcoin in China is trying to hold because they see, the acceptance in the Western world. They see more institutions come in. This is something that we've been waiting for years, and it's now happening. Yeah. So like every single Bitcoin becomes so precious,
yeah.
and everyone's trying to hold it. Yeah.
What do you think it's going to do to the price if and when
Mm,
like peak depression comes in?
yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna say this without any liability because I don't trade that much, right? So yeah, this is just my gut feeling. I don't think we'll ever go back below 10K anymore. With such a public awareness, with all the the institutional money coming in, with the young generation that really sees the value of Bitcoin. So I think we have a very strong support at 10K, just from a psychological point of view. But of course, that is like the worst case. And probably that also, if that happens, it also means the stock market crashes, so everybody's panicking, not just the crypto market. Yeah, but I'm still quite optimistic in terms of where Bitcoin is gonna be. Maybe there just could be some short-term pain, but yeah.
Yeah, and if it coincides with hyperinflation, um, let's say, we expect there to be some sort of drastic inflation with the US dollar, and then at that point, people could only be
Hmm.
turning to precious metals and Bitcoin. So
Yeah,
there
yeah,
might be an
indeed.
interesting confluence of events there in the future that we should be expecting. You think it's
Hmm.
kind of depressed because of just miners selling their Bitcoin?
Um, I don't think this is triggered by miners, to be honest. Yeah, because if you think about it, first of all, the production of Bitcoin is not that much compared to what is in circulation. So miners' impact is not as influential as, let's say, 4 years ago. In 2017 or even earlier than that, miners definitely has a huge influence. I think miners are um, I don't think miners is gonna like move the market that much at this point. Yeah.
Okay. Um, but do you think it's true what Willy Woo said about the initial crash in April that we saw with the Bitcoin price, which is it went from 64,000 down to 50,000, and then now we're all the way down to even 30,000. Was that initial sell off from I guess Bitcoin investors in China who heard the news early about the CCP going to view the farms and asking you to turn them off, to turn the miners off? Was that original sell pressure from Chinese investors?
I would say it's a mix. Yeah. Uh, I would say probably this is also, I mean, along the way. So definitely, some Chinese miners has sold Bitcoin. Uh, Probably, the more educated one will be selling the machines back then instead of selling Bitcoin. Because in fact, it should be short on the machines, but long in Bitcoin. Um,
Do you know of any
I,
miners who've sold their machines during that time?
mm, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
quite a fair
really?
bit. Yeah. Hmm.
Do you know
Yep, yep.
which miners? Which ones?
Um, I don't think I can name them for now. Yeah, but it's normal, right? Like people are holding different views in the market, so there always will be people like selling, but even right now in the market, there are people buying. Like from my view, I don't think that price crash was really okay. It's probably triggered by the news of the Chinese cracking down mining, but I don't think the sellers are all from China, because I think all the trading firms probably has a much bigger influence in terms of pricing right now. So they might be also just focusing on that event, and also the general market sentiment.
The miners that we bought for Handshake kind of came at a pretty bad
Yeah,
time.
I know.
And I'm wondering what your thesis about Handshake is. Why were you so bullish on it that you were, buying up miners?
I mean, first of all, I get to know this idea back in 18, because we met Joseph Poon. He was talking about it.
Ah,
Yeah, so yeah, we liked it. Also, I happen to know some of the core guys in the community, yeah, so those guys are really cool to hang out with. But in essence, I think the idea of Handshake, of providing an unstoppable website registry, and also like moving into NFT, I think that's like a really neat idea. Although I don't speak much in the community, but I think the community is organic. There are true believers and supporters in there. Although I think probably there can be like a bit more coordination, but actually a lot of people are doing things, voluntarily,
mhm.
like for different aspects, right? So I think that makes a great project. It's still in stealth. Sometimes people forget about it just because of the trading is not that fantastic. But for us, we're looking at something could be great to take place in years. Yeah, so trading can wait.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for someone who lives behind the Great Firewall, you could benefit from something like Handshake.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and because of the illiquid trading activity, it's so hard to get the tokens. That's why we're buying machines just to accumulate more.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I have the same idea.
Yeah.
If only we could get a hosting provider. We
Ah,
start mining.
solar power. Yeah, we need solar power and nuclear power.
So yeah, what are your
Yeah.
plans for that?
So I just rent a big storage place yesterday. Yeah, so I'm gonna just park the machines for a while just talking to more people to see, okay, whether we should still stay in China or should we go to the States. So probably we have a much clearer image next month.
And with COVID restrictions, you said it's hard for you to go to the States?
It's okay to go, but right now in China, I don't need to wear a mask at all. Even going to a shopping mall or taking a train.
If you go to Texas or Florida, you don't need to wear a mask either.
I mean, for us, I do feel safe here because there's like zero cases here, right?
Oh, really?
That's why I haven't even taken any vaccination yet. I'm bare metal.
Why do you have zero cases? So the last time I heard about China cracking down on like, certain cities and breakouts is that what they
Hmm.
would do as soon as a breakout is reported is they would quarantine that city, not allow anybody to go out, and then test every single person in that city and then quarantine the people who have gotten it and then vaccinate them.
I mean, so first of all, China has been like really strict in terms of international flights, right? So uh, anyone coming from overseas has to be quarantined for 14 days plus another 7 days at home. So that's in total 21 days, just to make sure there's no imported cases going into the public. Uh, so that kind of just make okay, so imported cases are controlled. So let's look at only the domestic cases. Um, so what China did is kind of like bug fixing, in computer science. So the first time when you are doing a bug fixing, you don't know what the hell is happening. You basically shut down the whole computer, or you just unplug the power. So that's like a national lockdown last February. Um, then it goes along the way. They have more experience. Then it goes to okay, if one province has cases, let's just shut down certain cities. That happened like maybe last October. They shut down like Beijing a little bit. They shut down a few other cities. But now, with more equipment ready and also more experience, actually, if a cases happens, they only shut down that district, that street only. So those people get vaccinated, and
Oh,
they probably need to stay home for like 2 weeks or 1 week. So it's getting more and more granular in terms of how they control things. And also because of the rapid testing, even if I'm in that district, as long as I do like rapid testing, I can still go to other places. So it's getting like more convenient than last year was just harsh. But I was in Singapore last year, so I can't really
oh,
say about
okay.
it.
What's going on with the ASIC manufacturers then? Are they affected? Are they impacted?
If you look at all the large ASIC manufacturers for Bitcoin, I think their business is still pretty decent. Because what I heard is that since last year, most of the orders come from the States.
Like myself.
So there are people who bought the machines from overseas, but hosting them in China. But the bigger institutions, they are actually shipping all the machines to US. They're building their own facilities. So I would say majority of the new machines are actually hosted and running in US land right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Which states?
That one I'm not sure. Used to heard that some people are running in New York State.
New York.
Some are doing like Texas. Yeah, some are doing like Alaska. I think Canada has also quite a fair bit as well.
What about you personally for your farm?
So for now we're not moving. We're going to just wait and see. Like, let's say for a 1 or 2 months and see how it goes. We are talking to a few leads in terms of having electricity in US or Latin America, but we're progressing with a lot of cautions. First of all, we need to gauge whether we have the capability of having people underground, because we're talking about moving a lot of assets to a different country. And also I think we also managed to the COVID situation is not also helping us because we cannot fly down there. That's why we need to rely on a lot of just trust and also video conference. So what we're going to do is we're going to partner with a few other miners just to test it out and see how it goes. Also, our assessment is that the construction of mining farms in US is going to take a while also. Yeah. We probably will not operate farms in US, but we'd rather become a customer over there. Because it's a completely new land, it's a different culture. It's also, different way of doing business. So we'd rather, leaving that part of business to someone who is local and who can, make it work. And yeah, then we become just a mining machine owner, and we use their hosting service.
The relationship is going to be like the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you're going to use a US host. Okay, that's interesting. What's the cultural difference? I'm interested how you do business in China because I understand there's a lot of subtleties and if you don't know them, then you probably will fail at doing business there.
So the mining industry in China is pretty well established because it has been running for a couple of years, right? So a couple of things we like about doing it in China is, first of all, the 24/7 monitoring in China is probably easier to implement with shifts. Because in general, you can hire a few maintenance guy at reasonable price and let them to work on day shifts and night shifts. That could be one thing a bit challenging in the States. Secondly, is that so China has built quite a lot of infrastructure in terms of roads and also electricity lines and also internet. So although a lot of power plants are in rural areas, but there's no problem for us to drive in and just get like decent infrastructure support. I guess sometimes in US you might have to build the infrastructure yourself to kickstart. That's why we have also seen the numbers, the cost of building farms in US is much higher than that in China. Regulatory wise, as long as the central government doesn't make any big announcement like what they made recently, usually we don't get into any troubles. Um, but I guess that will be slightly also more straightforward in the States.
So tell me more about the CCP's 100th birthday and the significance of that and like its impact on the mining industry because it seems to correlate.
So first of all, it's the 100th anniversary of the party, right? So uh, it's probably the biggest event this year. And also the government has put a lot of efforts, to cherish that, to cherish its achievement, um, what they have made China in 100 years. Um, yeah, so there was a lot of like cherishing the achievements, but of course they also wanted the people to be satisfied, um, without any distractions, right?
What does
Um,
that mean?
that's so that means financial instability could be a distraction, or let's say if a lot of people trading cryptos and they lost money, they would be upset and they wouldn't be happy for the 100th anniversary of CCCP. Um, so that could be one thing that the government was trying to cool down crypto trading in China because it has been like extremely hyped this year.
All of these exchanges suddenly saying that if you reside in China, we're gonna not serve you. That was
Mhm.
as a result of the CCP wanting to cool down the hype so that people aren't
Uh,
distracted for the 100th birthday.
I wouldn't say this is like the only reason for that, right? But this could be one of the considerations.
That's insane. I'm sorry. Is that normal?
Yeah.
Would they go so far as to shut down the internet for a week just to give
Uh,
citizens? No.
no, no. In fact, all the activities there, even the celebrations, everything is happening on internet. So internet is an integral part of the
Okay.
of people's life. So I don't think they will shut down internet. No.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
People, in fact, are watching videos of the celebration on internet. So it's one of the ways, for them to celebrate.
Okay. Okay. So where are you located?
So I'm usually living in Singapore, but just because of COVID, so I moved back to Chengdu this year. So Chengdu is the capital city of Sichuan province, with the
Oh,
most
I love your
abundance of
food.
hydraulic power. Yeah, spicy
Chengdu
food,
taste.
right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
The Sichuan pepper that like
yeah,
makes your mouth numb. Oh
yeah,
yeah, you have really good food there. I'm jealous.
yeah. It's a pretty laid back city with good food, good scenery. So it's with a very nice lifestyle here.
And there's a mining industry there
Yeah,
in, in
it's probably
Sichuan.
the largest one in China,
I
because
thought it
of
was in
so
Shenzhen.
Sichuan has no, Shenzhen is only for manufacturing the machines. It's for
Okay.
hardware.
Hard.
So the mining industry goes with electricity, right? So
Uh-huh.
Sichuan has a lot of rivers. That's why hydraulic power is concentrated in Sichuan.
Okay, but I thought that your mining farm was coal powered, or at least the ones that the CCP had shut down.
Oh,
Okay,
so the CCCP shut down all, so coal-powered and also hydraulic powered.
why would they shut down
Um,
hydraulic power? That's renewable.
Exactly. So initially we thought, if their narrative is against, is for, uh,
Carbon
environmental
neutrality.
consideration
Yeah.
and carbon neutrality, yeah, so coal-powered might be shut down, but Sichuan should be okay. But then they changed the narrative afterwards, saying that, uh, this is about financial stability, and
Oh,
Bitcoin mining is not creating any financial values or real values. Uh, yeah, that's why initially, we
wild.
told you guys like, okay, let's move everything from Xinjiang to Sichuan. It should be all right. But then a week later, the government says, no, hydraulic power is also not okay because it's crypto related. Yeah,
Okay.
so that was like,
So, yeah, it's they're waging a full-on war against Bitcoin, it seems. So, so
yeah, crypto
I
in general.
okay, now that you've said that, I don't believe them that I mean, I know for a fact that they're just paying lip service to, being carbon neutral, but in reality, what do you think they're doing? From the outside looking in, what it looks like to me is that they're basically banning the production of Bitcoin because they want to introduce their own digital currency and control capital flight.
Bitcoin is free to flow, right, globally. That's why there are people using it, to move money from China to other places. That's definitely heavily attacked by the government. This is something that they do not want to see to happen. But the digital yuan is something completely different, right? It's pretty much a stable coin. So stable coin and Bitcoins are two separate creatures. And I think the digital yuan is going to be a wholesale model. So this will be only to replace the issuance of currency. But once it goes to us, it doesn't matter whether it's digital yuan or it's paper note. So we don't feel the difference. So in that sense, it's not really blockchain or crypto.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so then what do you think that they're controlling the means of production of Bitcoin for? If
I mean,
not
like you said, it
to
could
move
be,
people over to like WeChat coin or
yeah,
digital yuan.
it's most likely about capital flight.
Okay, all right.
And also, people use Bitcoin because it's not monitored, right? So they're worrying about money laundering and also capital flight.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
they just want to move people over to a currency that they monitor.
I mean, this is where they talk about financial stability, right? Because capital flight is not some kind of disrupt this whole thing. Um, Actually, I'm holding a view. I'm actually I'm wondering, with let's say 40% of global hash rate, not mining right now in China, and those hash power are looking for electricity elsewhere. But most of those hash power was initially powered by hydraulic power plant in Sichuan. So those used to be actually environmentally friendly. Um, I'm not sure, whether we can find replacement or green replacement in other countries, at least in the next 1 or 2 years. So this might incentivize people to use coal power again in other countries.
Mm. And that's unfortunate.
As long as the business makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a misconception that people have. They say if mining is occurring in China, and then that means it's powered by coal, which that clearly isn't the case. Do you know what percentage of the mining power was powered by hydraulics?
I don't have that number on the top of my head, but I can just give you an example. So Sichuan is pretty much hydraulic power,
Like
and
100%.
like pretty much, let's say 90%. Yeah, let's say 90%. So every summer season, so every rainy season, which is from May to November, so probably 70 or 80% of all the machines are moved to Sichuan for hydraulic power because it's cheaper.
Moved. Okay.
Yeah. So China has this migration of machines each year during the dry season and the rainy season. So dry season, you kind of go some elsewhere to find power, but in rainy season, all go back to Sichuan for
Oh,
hydraulic power. Yeah,
right.
because it's
Because the
like,
rain powers the hydraulic plant, and then you have
right.
basically free energy.
So I mean, they still charge you
Okay.
more and more expensive nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's clean. Yeah.
I often believe that in the long term, the incentives for finding, cheap, bountiful, and clean energy, such as hydraulic power, is clearly going to be the incentive for mining Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Yep.
you're in Africa and you live by like a waterfall or something, and you figure out how to harvest the energy from that.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know where there would be a waterfall in Africa, but
I mean, also another thing about mining in China is that most of the mining farms are in rural areas. So in that sense, those are the areas that used to have no industrial activities, or it's pretty much agricultural, right?
mm,
So because of Bitcoin mining, um, so people have set up a lot of business in those rural areas, and most likely we're using the surplus energy So actually, the living standard in those areas got improved because
Oh
of
yeah.
Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Do you know about the was it carbon waste recapture mechanism? That's something that I'm interested in but don't know too much about. People are talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So
there's
yeah, I'm chemical engineering background. So we used to look at it quite a fair bit. So in Southeast Asia, the most common practice is carbon offset. So a lot of people are planting trees in Indonesia. But now more and more people are using those material that can, I can't remember what material is that, but with the light and also the material itself, it captures carbon dioxide. Anyway, I guess my point is that yeah, there are carbon dioxide capturing technology in there. People are really creative in terms of using different energy sources. This is nice, right? This is nice. With all the new mining machines become more and more efficient. So actually, they're using less power right now. Um,
mm,
you know, there could be a scenario where people will be able, to create their own sustainable energy source and just, power one or two mining machines. That'd be
mm.
nice. Yeah.
That would be really nice. What are your thoughts
Hmm.
about the Elon Starlink theory? So one of the theories from after Elon tweeted that Bitcoin mining is too energy intensive and it's not clean, it's powered by coal power. Somebody came out with a theory that said maybe he's 4D chessing us. What he's doing is if Powerwall can talk to Starlink, then you could use your Powerwall surplus energy to mine Bitcoin, and then it uses Starlink for the internet. Therefore, we get people on to mining Bitcoin using a Powerwall. Do you think that's possible?
First of all, I think his assessment, his statement was wrong because last year there was a report published by one of the U.S. agencies. I can't remember whether it's from the environmental or the financial agency. So in fact, they talk about Bitcoin was not that environmental unfriendly at all.
Mm,
So the government already has a better understanding of the power sources for Bitcoin mining much better than Elon. Um, yeah, so I think he kind of disappointing to make that
mhm.
statement. Um, and secondly, isn't he a Dogecoin supporter more than a Bitcoin supporter? Like,
It
does he
seems so,
really care
yeah.
about Bitcoin that much anymore? Yeah,
I don't know.
like he's supporting a coin that its own network security is kind of like pegged to Litecoin. You know, doesn't really have its own network security. So I don't know what he's trying to do here. Like I'm not going to overthink about his statement here because for me it's just nonsense. Yeah.
Dogecoin merge mines with Litecoin. So the hash power of Litecoin is
Yeah.
basically the same hash power behind Dogecoin. That's what he's talking about. I was kind of just hopeful that, in the future, if we buy a power wall, we would be able to mine Bitcoin.
Mhm.
I just kind of wanted that. But I don't know. I guess it doesn't seem like a possibility because then, if it were a possibility, then we would be able to use solar power and just like have like a little mini
Right.
kit, and then the mining
Yeah.
power of Bitcoin would be really truly distributed just everywhere, anywhere you could, use a power wall and have solar power.
Yeah, indeed. I mean I'm bullish in the solar energy because if we can if we can create like sufficient energy and it has a good storage method, I think that'd be nice. Everybody will be happy to just power their whole house in solar energy and any surplus. We can do a lot of stuff. May not be Bitcoin mining, but it could be like GPU mining for something else.
Hash power needs of Bitcoin are way too high that it's not reasonable to be able to mine it with something like a power wall. But maybe we could do it with, for a smaller coin with lower hash power for now.
Yeah, can be Handshake.
Could be Handshake. Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah,
Gosh, I was really hoping to be able to put my miners to work
I
instantly.
know. I mean, it's disappointing, right? Yeah, because I've been buying Handshake machines every month this year. Because I'm like really
There's like
bullish on
yeah,
that.
there's like a
Uh,
really limited supply too, and so the very fact that we were able to secure some, that was in itself a hard thing to do. And now we can't find a hosting provider.
This is more like a long-term game, right? So
Right.
it may take like 2 months or 3 months, but yeah, we can definitely do this in a much longer period.
Actually, the Urkel Labs guys, they host Bitcoin mining in the US. It's just
Genesis Mining also does that, right? So quite a fair bit of people are doing that in US.
there's been rumors that Texas and Florida want to subsidize cost of electricity for crypto related businesses. So they may be able to subsidize electricity for miners.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. Yeah, if the government subsidizes it.
The mayor of Miami is very open to that kind of idea. And that's a good place to stop.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for coming on, Zhuling. This was very insightful. And yeah, I will see you on Signal.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chango.